What's up, gang? Kawaii50 here, finally, with another chance to do a Fate Grand Order Servant breakdown. And gang, I can't believe we're here. It seems like just yesterday, Arjuna Altar came out and really had people screaming about the game and shaking stuff up. And now, all of a sudden, we are here. Yes, the Saber Wars pre-release campaign has been announced, which means it is finally time to talk about the much-beloved Space Ishtar. We're going to be going over the whole gamut of her kit, and a lot of you probably already know how this video is going to end. But let me tell you, if you are a new player, and you're coming to this video like, why is everyone hyped up about this Space Ishtar character? Strap in, because it is going to be... It's going to be interesting for you, to say the least. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to go ahead, like, and subscribe. Space Ishtar runs a quick Arts Buster deck with a Noble Phantasm. We'll get to that in just a second. Her max HP of 13,041 is pretty solid, but most importantly, her max attack is sitting at 12,612, which is very good for her considering her Avenger class and the fact that she's likely going to be hitting for neutral damage most of the time. Her NP per hit is solid at a 0.69%, but we don't really need to worry about that. We also really don't need to worry about her star absorption either, sitting at a 29. There is a singular purpose for this servant. There is a singular reason she is good, and it doesn't really require any of these things, as a matter of fact. Space Ishtar's first skill is the Devil's Sugar rank A. This increases her attack by 10 to 20% and also increases her allies' attack by 20 to 30% and gives everyone except for Space Ishtar Charm Immune. This is on a 5-turn cooldown, and I highly recommend you go ahead and max this skill second. You're going to be needing that damage for some of the things that Space Ishtar is going to do. However, there is a quality of life feature tied to one of her other skills that we really want to focus on leveling up first, so we're going to go ahead and just nip any sort of questioning in the bud. We're going to go ahead and make her consistent. Space Ishtar's second skill is a if you know, you know skill. This is why she is so incredibly good. Venus Driver rank B increases her NP strength by 1 time over 3 turns by 10 to 20% and also grants her 1 instance of invincibility. These are irrelevant. What is most important is the fact that Venus Driver changes Space Ishtar's NP card type to a card type of her choice. Quick, Arts, or Buster. Her Noble Phantasm starts out as an Arts at Standard, but yes, Space Ishtar can fit into absolutely any team comp, because she is able to change her Noble Phantasm at will. This was absurd when it was initially released, and it still remains slightly absurd to this day. This is when we begin to start shaking things up, and man, it made Space Ishtar even valuable than she already is by virtue of being a Rin face. Still, I recommend you level this skill last, mainly because you're only really going to be using it once, ideally. Space Ishtar's third skill is Multiple Sterling rank EX, and this is the one we're going to level up first, mainly because it increases her NP gauge steroid from 30% to 50%. We want that sweet 50% steroid, and if you already have an Ishtar, well, you already know why we really want that. This also has an 80% chance to increase her Buster, Quick, and Arts card effectiveness by 20% for 3 turns. This kind of fits in with how you're able to change your Noble Phantasm, at least lore-wise in my opinion. You go ahead and increase the power, and then you would switch your card type to whatever you wanted it to be. However, in all practicality, this is more of an extra little quality of life boost. If it doesn't happen, well, you have stacked your team in such a way where it really doesn't matter all that much. Still level this first, but mainly for that NP steroid. When it comes to Space Ishtar's append skills, I actually recommend leveling up the first 2. Follow-up technique improvement, while I haven't recommended that all that much, she does have an extra attack damage boost tied to her Noble Phantasm. So since she's already getting a boost there, it might be a good idea to go ahead and stack that up. But mana loading remains just as important as it ever has. That 10 to 20% starting NP gauge is good on universally everybody. And now it's time to talk about this Noble Phantasm, Aiden Shugura Quasar. rank EX. This deals damage to all enemies, and this damage depends on whether it's a quick, arts, or buster noble phantasm. I'm just going to show the standard arts version because this is the one most players end up using. 450 to 750% damage, an extra attack boost of 100%, and most importantly, that thing we all love to see. Increase her NP strength by 20 to 60% for 3 turns, and this activates before damage is dealt. This is again another reason why Space Ishtar is so powerful, because I want you all to remember this increased NP strength buff, it's stackable. It absolutely is stackable. This makes Space Ishtar an absolutely incredible, basically unparalleled servant when it comes to farming. If you need to farm something, odds are Space Ishtar is gonna kill it. She is gonna kill it dead. This actually ends up making Space Ishtar's recommendations for ally servants very, very easy. Her main draw is the fact that she is able to be an absolutely incredible farmer. So let's give her all the support she needs to do that. NA players, when it comes to giving her arts allies, well, we're going to have to sell right now for Tamamo, Hohenheim, and Nero Bride. However, in the future, when Caster Artoria comes out, that is going to crank Space Ishtar's damage up to 11, and she is going to become even more powerful and even more consistent than she is on release. This is a servant you're going to end up bond 10ing, and she is not even just a supporter. When it comes, of course, if you want to use her for quick, you can definitely pair her with Skahawk Scotty. I feel like this is going to be the most attainable option for NA players at the time of her release, but we are ultimately going to shift into the Castoria meta when she does end up coming out. Even looking further down the line, Space Ishtar does have the ability to buster loop, but NA is going to have to wait a very, very long time for that. We're going to have to wait for the release of Koyanskaya and, of course, Oberon himself as well. These servants are going to be key for allowing Space Ishtar to do that, and in Oberon's case especially, her dealing massive amounts of damage on the final wave. On Space Ishtar's launch on NA, your best pick is going to be Kaleidoscope. We really don't have a big way to reliably charge her Noble Phantasm immediately on turn 1, and unless you have a lot of materials day 1 to sink into her third skill, that's probably not going to be the case for you. So go ahead and give her that K-Scope to start with so she can get that reliable turn 1 Noble Phantasm. Once you start getting more comfy in your ability to ensure that she is going to have max MP charge all 3 turns, you can go ahead and switch focus over to the Black Grail. This increased NP strength is still unparalleled on JP, and on top of that, that overkill is going to contribute to Space Ishtar's overall Noble Phantasm gain off of her arts or quick type Noble Phantasms. If you don't have Black Grail, of course Heaven's Feel also exists as another option. I can also recommend Duke of Flames to you. This increases her NP strength by 20% and also increases her NP overcharge by 2 levels when using her Noble Phantasm. This will only work on the first wave, and you'll still need a way to sort of reliably ensure that she has that full NP charge, but this can help that NP damage boost skyrocket. I would only really recommend this though if you for some reason lack the Black Grail and or Heaven's Feel. And finally, if you're looking for a more budget craft essence for Space Ishtar, say you lack all of these options, or you're a new player just starting out and have touched something on FGO recently, and if that does end up being the case, well, I would say your best bet is going to be waiting for the Fate Apocrypha Inheritance of Glory rerun. This will allow you to get Afternoon Fortress, which increases Space Ishtar's Buster, Arts card effectiveness, as well as her NP strength. It's, again, a budget-friendly option, and this is something that can hold you over. You might not get the 3-turn farms when you're starting out, but remember, nobody really does. Go ahead and wait until you get something better to throw on Space Ishtar. Because so much of Space Ishtar's power and focus is tied into her Noble Phantasm, that actually ends up making her command code recommendations very, very easy. Let's start with, of course, Da Vinci. This grants NP damage up by 15% for 1 turn when attacking using the engraved card. You have to use the card before you use the Noble Phantasm, but the damage trade-off ends up being incredible and worth it. The same can be said for everyone's Da Vinci Chan, which NA doesn't have yet, but it's coming. This increases the party's NP damage by 8% for 1 turn. Of course, this will also stack and function on Space Ishtar. If you have a leftover option of White Vessel's Command Seal or its freebie option Code Cure, this can be great if you want to bring Space Ishtar into more long-form fights. It will give her an opportunity to cleanse some of those nasty debuffs. And when it comes to looking for something that's a little more fun, I've got 2 more recommendations for you as well. The Nun with a Bodhisattva's Merciful Gaze is going to be great for Space Ishtar because of her advantage against rulers that she already has. It'll increase damage against them by 20% and also increase the damage she deals against enemies with a lawful alignment. And finally, I'd like to recommend Mask of Concealed Beauty, mainly because this increases buff success rate on Space Ishtar by 20% once, and you can go ahead and use this in combination with her final skill to get a 100% chance on all 3 of those quick, arts, and buster buffs. Veteran players do not need me to tell them this, and newbies, I am telling you this right now. Space Ishtar is incredible. She is absolutely the best farming servant in the entire game, and I would say if you want to try and get a friend into Fate Grand Order, or if you yourself have just started, this is going to be a can't-miss banner for either of you. And I am saying that as a noted fan of Sakura faces. The Rin face, irrelevant. She is just an absolutely bonkers farming servant that fits well on absolutely any team you could possibly put on. Not only is she going to be great when she comes out, but she's going to find new ways to surprise the community as new servants continue to become available. Space Ishtar is the ultimate farming future-proof servant that will keep your team up in the highest echelons of power for years to come. Seriously. If you're on the fence about Space Ishtar, my advice, go for it. But of course, I want to know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about Space Ishtar down in the comment section below. Let me know if you think there's any allies or command codes or any other fun strategies that I might have missed. And hey, if you want to talk more Space Ishtar, my Discord server is of course always open. I want to give a big thanks to the followers and subscribers on Twitch, those of you who've committed to my Patreon, and of course, all of you who have subscribed to me on YouTube as well. I really appreciate all the continued support. Anyways, gang, this is Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you all in the next video.